Hello, and welcome to Atitude Global Church. Very shortly, you're going to watch the latest sermon of our pastor, Josué Valandro Jr. It's a message of hope, of how we can hope in the Lord. Make sure to watch it and also share it with all your English-speaking friends. Also, follow us on our social media at attitudeglobal.church so you can keep updated with everything that we've been doing and also with our latest events. If you want to bless our digital church financially, you can do so by scanning the QR code for Pix transactions, or you can transfer directly to our bank accounts. Now, a message of hope with Pastor Josué.
To wait in God, it's one of the wisest things that someone can do. To wait in God is a smart thing to do. It makes sense. But do you really know what it is to wait in God? When people say, "I'm waiting in God," do they really know what they're saying? The truth is, I know a lot of people that they're hiding behind this expression, "I'm waiting in God." There are a lot of people, they're procrastinating decisions that they have to make. They're postponing actions that they have to do. They're not resolving issues that should have been solved already. And when we ask these people, they would answer, "Oh, I'm just waiting in God." Dear brothers and sisters, are these people that are waiting in God, do they understand that waiting in God is to be prostrated, just letting God do all the work? Or do they maybe think that they have to do something, but they believe that they're only allowed to do something that when God very openly shows that He's done His part? No question, undoubtedly, this sentence, this statement, "I'm waiting in God," it's beautiful. And it sounds very spiritual. "Oh, brother, did you solve the problem in your marriage?" "Oh, I'm waiting in God." We're even uncomfortable. We say, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Maybe I'm not as spiritual as you. I'm pressuring you. I'm sorry." But how many marriages are waiting in God? How many companies they're going to close their doors are waiting in God? How many relationships between father and children, they're broken because they're waiting in God? How many ministries that haven't been started yet because they're waiting in God? Waiting in God. Actually, they are hiding themselves behind this statement. This statement became a crutch for them, so that people don't do what has to be done. Pastor, what it is to wait in God? The Bible answers that to us. And there's a passage that is vastly known that answers that very clearly to us. It's Isaiah chapter 40, verse 31. Isaiah 40:31, we read as follows. Isaiah 40:31 says, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint." Pastor, this passage says, "But those who hope in the Lord." And you said that the passage explains what it is to wait in the Lord, to hope in the Lord. Well, you will understand shortly. The passage says, those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength, will soar on wings, will run and not grow weary, will walk and not be faint. 4 verbs of action. What the passage is telling us is that to hope in the Lord, it is not a passive action. To hope in the Lord is an active action. Because I wait in the Lord, I will do things. Because I hope in the Lord, I act. Because I hope in the Lord, I'm going to go and get it. Because I hope in the Lord, I'm not going to bow down. I'm not going to accept a situation that shouldn't be accepted. I will face it. Dear brothers and sisters, do you remember when David was in front of Goliath? Oh, David, there's Goliath. What are you doing? Oh, I'm just waiting in the Lord. If David was just waiting in the Lord, Goliath would have killed him, would have broken him. He would have sliced him in little pieces, but no. He said, I hope in the Lord, and because I hope in the Lord, he went for it. He said to the Lord, look, I only have these rocks. I can't do it by myself, but I hope in you, and I know that this rock in your hands will become a big rock, will become the right rock. I know that my rock in your hands, it's like a cannon firing. I know that my strength in your hands is the strength from heaven. I know that my aim in your hands will be perfectly accurate. The precise shooting done by a radar, calculated by computers, it's precise. Because I hope in the Lord, I will face a giant. I won't do it by myself. But because I hope in the Lord, I'm going to win it. To hope in the Lord, it is not forgetting to sow. To hope in the Lord, it's you sowing, and because you hope in the Lord, you're going to say, I've done my part, and I believe that this seed will grow and be fruitful. The harvest will be plentiful. The harvest will be amazing. People like to say that they're hoping in the Lord, waiting in the Lord, but in truth, they are waiting for themselves. In fact, I believe that when people say, I'm waiting in the Lord is looking down and telling them, and I'm waiting for you. Because you didn't have any sort of attitude that is showing that you're waiting on me. You didn't have any attitude that is showing that your hope is full and complete in me. And then the passage says something very interesting. The passage says, but those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. And there's the spiritual key here. And in the book Flying High by Hernandes Dias Lopes, he does an analysis of what it means. He's going to say, oh, those who hope in the Lord, they fly high like eagles. What does the eagle have to teach us about flying high? This is the theme of our sermon today, a lesson of hope from the eagles. Wow, this screen looks amazing, doesn't it? Let's take a picture. What does the eagle, can he teach us so that we have an active hope? A hope that is not passive. A hope that is moving us forward. What can the eagle teach us? Number one, the eagle flies high. The eagle, it doesn't roam in low altitudes. It doesn't drag itself on the floor. It is not easily captured or hit. A bird that flies low is easily captured. But the eagle, you cannot aim and hit it. The eagle, you won't be able to shoot it. It flies high. Do you know what a lot of people have issues with? Is that they're flying low. They're going through dangerous situations. They're hanging out with people that are disrupting you. People that are questioning the church all the time and they're weakening your faith and the love for church. You're hanging out with people that don't pray, they don't read the Bible, they don't fast, they don't serve the Lord. You're not walking with them to evangelize them. You're walking because you wanted to interact with them and you're being more negative influenced than you're positively influencing them. You don't fly high. You're not in an area where people that believe in the power of God are. You are in the territory of people who are hurt. Many people are in the church, but they haven't been free from the world yet. They're still stuck to the low parts of the world, to the temptations of the world. But the eagle flies high. Samson, he broke all the vows he had with God. Do you know why? Because he flew low. He was interacting with bad people, interacting with people that stole from him the focus, interacting with people that took him out of his purpose in life. He was supposed to be a deliverer for his people, but he was negotiating principles with low people, with people that didn't have God. And because he negotiated, he lost sight of what he should do. In second place, the eagle flies above the storm. When the eagle starts listening to the sounds, the sounds of lightning, thunder, do you know what it does? It flies high. And it starts flying above the storm. The eagle teaches us a lesson that many times we're not going to God's arms. We're not believing in the power of faith. We're not believing that God can hear us. Do you know what the problem is for your miracle to happen today? It's because you're stuck on the miracle that you didn't have yesterday. You asked God for something and you didn't receive a yes as a reply. And because of that today, you're facing a situation and you're saying, oh, God didn't hear me before. He's not going to hear me now. If I ask God, since I asked and he didn't do, maybe he won't do it again. And then you become an unbeliever. You start questioning because you only got an answer that you weren't happy with. And if you pray and you pray with faith, God answered, maybe not the way that you wanted, but he did. And this created in you a disappointment and you start not believing. You're not praying, believing that God will answer you. The storm is hitting you. The storm is wetting your wings. It's making you stumble and not fly, and maybe you're falling because you can't fly above the troubles, above the storm, and go to God's arms. You don't believe that your knees on the floor can activate heaven. You don't believe that your knees on the floor, it's like you're a child, a beloved child speaking to his father. In third place, the eagle flies in a straight line. Vultures, they fly circling around. They circle around. The eagle flies in a straight line. Do you know what this reminds us of? This talks about transparency. Many times we're not righteous. We'll say something and do something else. We're not transparent in our actions. We say, oh, this is wrong, but we do the same thing. We are enacting to others an expectation of a relationship with God, a faithfulness, but this is not what we're experiencing in our lives. I see a lot of people complaining, oh, because the poor people, oh, the women, the black people, but you're not really actively helping them. We recognize that there are many situations in our history that involves minorities, with the northeastern people, with the black people, with A lot of situations were not good in our history, but the church doesn't care about the past. It cares about the present, about changing people's lives, believing that they're worth based on their value, on their character, and that they can review their principles and values and they can improve their lives. The church is here to declare that we are not who we are based on the color of our skin or our type of hair we are. We're children of God who hear us and who unites us as a family. Now, a bunch of people that don't do anything for others, and this, what really angers me, are people that say, oh, because of the poor, the poor. If you're stealing money, you're not worried about poor people. Those who steal, forgive me, but if there's a steal in their history, then you don't care about the poor. You stole from the people, so don't come and tell me about poor people. Brothers and sisters, what have you been doing for people? Sometimes you spend 400 reais on a pizza. You're not able to provide basic food and donate that for people. Some people go to a barbecue restaurant and spend around 1,000 reais to feed their family. But they're not capable, or maybe finding out if there's someone with less money that they can possibly help every month. Maybe help with rice or beans or pasta or 2 dozen eggs. It doesn't change your life, but we don't do these things and we're still complaining. Oh, I'm a servant of God. A servant of God that doesn't serve others? Who are you serving? A servant of God serves God through their service of others. The eagle flies in a straight line. It's transparent, it's righteous. It focuses on its prey and goes toward it. It doesn't circle around like a vulture. We need to have this kind of attitude. Do you remember Naaman? The general from Assyria. Look, very well dressed, big horse. Everyone would clap when they walked by, but everyone at home, they knew that he was leprous. Underneath his tunics, his general outfit, there was a man that was rotting inside. He was dying. Many times we're playing a part for others that is completely different and false, and we're believing in our own lies. Worse than the unbeliever is a Christian without integrity. Because the unbeliever, it says, I don't believe in God. But a Christian says, oh, I believe in God. But he's living in a way that doesn't show their faith. And then the gospel loses credit. It starts to be taken in as something false. Because that's not the essence. The church needs to be righteous, like Joseph, Daniel, Shadrach, that decided not to accept the temptations of the world, but live through righteousness. Are you living a righteous life? Are you? In fourth place, the eagle flies forward. It flies in a straight line, but not a straight line to the side. It's a straight line forward. Pastor, what is that telling us? That reveals development, progress, growth. A Christian will be hopeful if they have a target, if they have a goal. The eagle, it sees the rabbit running and then he's going to say, oh, that rabbit, I'm going to eat that rabbit. And it flies in a straight line. It's precise. It's strong. It has direction. It has focus. And it reaches its goal. What is your goal? What is your goal in your marriage? Is it good the way it is, or can it be improved? Oh, I don't believe in it anymore. Well, okay, you don't believe in it. So what can you do to start believing in it again? So you can look at your wife and say, ooh, baby, what is your target for your financial life? Are you satisfied with it? Or maybe you're complaining but doesn't do anything to change it. Oh, I'm going to rest my legs while I watch the soap opera. Aren't there people that do that? They want to rest their legs in watching the soap opera? Oh, you could have been doing something. You know how to cook something delicious, and maybe you could sell for 500 reais. Maybe if you sell a lot, you can get 400 reais a month. Wouldn't that change the family's life? Maybe double their income? Oh, Pastor, you say these things and it sounds very easy. It is very easy. Ask for help. There are people that can help us. Ask for advice. Talk to someone who has already done something and was successful. It's easy for those who need help to ask for help. What's the target for your spiritual life? Are you satisfied with it? Can you not read the Bible for a day? Or you cannot. You have to read the Bible. Can you not pray for a day and say that, oh, it's okay, and pray really fast, saying, oh God, thank you for the meal. It's not that good, but thank you anyways. Amen. What is your target in your service of God? Do you think that God is satisfied? Do you think that just coming to service and participating is enough? Or do you understand that you actually have to do something for the kingdom, because one day God is going to ask that of you? What are you doing for the kingdom today? What are you doing for this church to reach more people and change the story of the world? What are you doing? Oh, I bring in my offering. That's great, but that's not everything. God doesn't want just your financial resources. He wants your arms, your voice, your legs, your mouth, with your life. We need to understand that the vulture, it doesn't fly forward, it circles around. Do you know when the vulture flies forward? When it sees what? That meat. There are people here at church that are just like vultures. They circle around in the same life. They don't have focus, but when they see someone struggling, when they see a family struggling, when they see someone that maybe is living in sin, they love it. They go really fast on top of that person. They rejoice in other people's miseries, in other people's family issues. It's like a vulture. It looks for smelly things. It looks for things that they're dying. It loves to proclaim, look, I'm circling. There's something smelly here. There's something dead here. There are a lot of Christians that are like that. When they see someone prospering, what do they say? They must be stealing. When they see someone moving forward in church, they say, look, he's not even a righteous person, but that's the pastor giving him an opportunity. Maybe he doesn't know, or maybe he knows and he's being negligent. We're always criticizing, undermining people, what the other person is living, because we don't have the dignity of flying straight ahead, of having goals, of having targets, and saying to God, God, is this what you have for my life? Then I'm going to fly towards what you want for me. But the eagle, it also flies depending on the wind. The eagle flies relying on the wind. Yeah. Studies show that the eagle's wings, they're way bigger than its body. And that was necessary for the eagle, because it flies very high. If it were a hummingbird and went to fly really high, it would get tired. It wouldn't be able to fly so high. And wouldn't be able to sustain long flights. So the eagle flies, and when it reaches a certain height, the winds are so strong, so it prepares its wings and allows the wind to take them higher. And it soars and goes high, and it flies in different directions with the support of the wind. What does that teach us? What is Isaiah saying here? Do you want to have hope in God? You have to rely on the Spirit. You need to know what the Holy Spirit expects of you. You have to have intimacy with Him and believe that when you get the Bible, when you read the Bible, you say, God, speak to me. Can you say something to me? And you open the Bible, you start reading. You can open whatever part of the Bible. God will reveal it to you. God doesn't need a specific verse, specific chapter to speak to you. He can speak whatever message, whatever part. It's His word. He can light up whatever passage He wants and set your soul alight. But you've lost the expectation of listening and hearing God's word. You read the Bible to just say that you've read a chapter. You read it just to fulfill that daily need. You don't read in the expectation that the wind of the Spirit is going to blow. God is going to move you forward. God is going to show you. John 3:8 says, the wind blows wherever it pleases. You hear its sounds, but you cannot tell where it comes from or where is it going. So it is with everyone born of the Spirit. Brothers and sisters, our victory is not in our own strength. There are situations in your life that you cannot go back. But the wind of the Spirit can touch it. The wind of the Spirit can rise you from whatever situation. The wind of the Spirit can honor you where you were ashamed before. The wind of the Spirit can make you receive forgiveness from the person you hurt the most. The wind of the Spirit will bring that daughter that married that guy that was a criminal, that was a bad person. God will go and He will rescue that man and he will become a light wherever he is. If the wind of the Spirit blows, there are no limits to what He can do, what He can do. But the problem is that many times we're being influenced not by the wind of the Spirit, but by other people's wind. What do you mean, Pastor? Yeah, people that want spiritual gurus. Oh, because this sister, she is the intercession sister. Oh, because that apostle, oh, he was anointed in that mountain. He's full of anointment. And we start to introducing mysticism to our faith, and we start relying on other people's wind. And let me tell you something. Empty cans are louder. You get an empty can, you throw it on the floor, it makes a lot of noise. You get a full can and you throw it on the floor and it doesn't make the same noise. You get a hammer and you hit an empty can and it makes loud noises. You hit the hammer on a full can and it's not the same sound. Many times you're basing yourself on people who are loud, but they're loud because they're empty. And because they're empty, they have to show others something that they don't have. It's an act. I'm not speaking of anyone specifically, a prophet or an apostle or a minister, an intercessor. No, I'm saying that you need the wind of the Spirit in your life. And not rely on people that many times they're empty cans and you think that they're full cans. A corn cob, when it's not growing healthy, it grows upward. But when the corn cob is full and healthy, it starts to bend. People who are full, they bow down. People that are full, they like people. They're not the intercessor of multitudes, but they're unable to embrace a poor person. You need to fly. You need to fly independent of the Spirit. But the eagle also has complete sight. It can see from different perspective, angles, and directions. The eagle basically have a 360 vision. It's incredible how he has such a comprehensive vision. What does that mean? It means that a Christian that has the hope in God, it needs to enhance its vision. You need to see things like they actually are. Many people don't have an enhanced sight. Let me give you an example. Oh, I really like the word of this pastor. I really like when this person prays. I really like when this person prophesies. Great. But how many people are talking about anointment and they forgot about compassion? What is this story of, oh, God is moving, but they don't have humility and they don't have compassion towards other people? Some people are very worried about orthodoxy. Oh, because the service has to be this way, this way. But what is it, orthodoxy, without anointment, without God's power? But other people are more focused on the power of God and anointment. It's fire, fire. But they're forgetting the story that has been written. And they forget about the people that pay the price for the gospel to reach where it is. They want power without orthodoxy, without respecting the structure of life, without respecting the words that have been prophesied of very simple people, but they love God. Brothers, we need to have a wider vision of reality, of what is happening. The truth, it is not in extremes. Our Christ teaches us balance. We need to have theology and compassion, orthodoxy and anointment, doctrine and revival, knowledge and power. And it is in this balance that we have been seeking and where we find the grace and the power of God. But the eagle has complete discernment. Complete discernment. The vision is one of the main attributes that we have as humans. In our eyes, we have more connections than all the communication networks in the world combined. And we can look at a focal point and have a wider vision, like a global vision. You're looking at a specific point, but you can see around it. They've studied the eagle, and they've noticed that the eagle has 3 focal points that has the panoramic view around those focal points. The eagle has the same ability that we have, but turned upward, forward, and downward. What is Isaiah when he's saying that we have to fly like the eagle, if we should hope in the Lord? What is he saying? First, we need to have a vision upward. We need to know what the eternity is telling us and what is happening. We need to know what the Bible is saying. We need to know what God is expecting of us. We need to have proper intimacy with Him to understand what we're supposed to do and what we shouldn't do. Time to go and time to stay. Oh, Pastor, we need then to hear the voice of God, to understand every decision. Yes, exactly that. Every decision. We shouldn't decide anything in our life without understanding what that has to do with Trinity, what that has to do with revival, what that has to do with salvation, what that has to do with God's purposes. Because you are God's purposes. But we have in the eagle that vision that is facing forwards. What is ahead of us? We have a world that is sexualizing children. Why are they doing that? Why do they want the children to experience that distorted sexuality? Why do they put dolls that teach children inappropriate things? Why do they want to put bathrooms for boys and girls together? Why are they doing all these things? Why do they want to create distance between fathers and their children? Why do they want to do expositions like the one in São Paulo, where we have orgies and scenes of rape, everything in the expositions, and taking kids from public schools in São Paulo to watch that? Why are they trying to show those scenes that are violent and inappropriate to children? Why? We have to understand that. The church can't be fools. Oh, Pastor, you're talking about politics. Oh my God. Has anyone said anything about politics? I am talking about a preacher. He has to have the Bible in one hand and the newspaper in another. That's what Charles Spurgeon said. You can't preach about something that is outdated. to preach about a subject that is relevant. It is me asking you, whoa, wait, how long is it going to take to install a telephone, a house, landline in your house? You're going to say, I don't know, I have a cell phone. I don't really care. It may take 10 years. I don't know. Who needs a house phone? But a couple years back, you would say, oh, it's taking a while. Oh, there's someone who's selling their number. This is outdated. This is not relevant to us anymore. We need to have a vision that is forward. What is happening in the world? The church is God's answer to what the world is living now. But the church also has to have the same vision that the eagle has, that is facing downward. The eagle, it can focus on 3 different points at the same time, and it looks down, and while it's looking forward, it is also looking down and noticing where their target is, their prey is, the prey that it wants to catch. Let me tell you something. We don't want to catch any prey. We want to reach people through the love of God. We have to be looking down as well for people who are down, people who are hurting, people who are crying, people who believed in a lot of things that people said to them and now they're struggling. People who believed in a bunch of theologies that were fake and now they don't know who they are anymore. One of these days, a pastor told me about a person that did one of those surgeries to change their gender, and now they're unhappy with what they became. And now she wants to know how she can go back. Because the problem, it is not the person's gender, the problem is in her soul. The surgery doesn't heal the soul. But who told her that her problem was in her soul? No one did. No one said anything. So now she's disfigured. She mutilated her body. And now the church has to be there, present. The church in Curitiba, they're now trying to see how can they afford the surgery to help her go back to what she was before. We need to love people, really. Oh, Pastor, I watched this video of a little boy, a boy in Africa, and he went to grab some food, and it was like this, it was made of a corn. It doesn't really have any substance. They put water on it, and they create this blob, and he put it on his plate, and he left all happy, Pastor. Like that was the best meal in his life. Yeah. And then I cried. Oh, you cried, and then? No, because I cried. Sure, you cried. Then I don't care about your crying. What are you going to do to change that? Your tear will dry, but your attitude will remain and will change someone's life. It's time to look down, to look to those in need, to look to the families of the minorities, not just poor people. It's so many people, maybe people who are living in a palace, locked in a room, that don't want to see sunlight because they're losing hope. They also need Jesus. They need our love. Who is willing to look to those that are down? But the eagle does not accept bondage. Have you ever seen an eagle caged? It dies. An eagle needs freedom. An eagle needs room to fly. The eagle needs to open its wings. It can't be restrained in a cage. An eagle is not a chicken. The eagle doesn't accept bondage. It dies if they take their freedom away. I want freedom from my country. I want freedom to say what I believe in, to say what's in the Bible, what I believe in the Bible. Because if it's not for the Bible, what am I supposed to put my hope in? If it's not for the Word of God, where am I going to my life upon? I want to say what the Bible says with freedom. If those who don't want to follow the Bible, is their right, is their freedom. If you want to stay away from the Bible, then that's your right, that's freedom. But I want the freedom to speak what I believe in. I want to be able to come to church and to service in the day that I want with my brothers and sisters, and period. That's freedom. The eagle doesn't accept to be caged, and there are two cages that we need to be free from. The first one, the fear of the devil and the arrows that the enemy sets for us. We cannot be afraid of the devil. I look at some churches that they talk more about the devil than of Jesus. Everything is devil, devil. You go to someone's house and they say, look, behind that plant there's a demon. Look, this soccer ball of your child's soccer ball has been sacrificed to a demon. Look, oh, I just saw a demon. I don't want to see demons. I want to see Jesus. I want to see his power. You don't have to be afraid of the devil. The Bible doesn't tell you to be afraid. It tells you to resist it. Resist the devil and he will flee. He cannot withstand to see a Christian that is sanctified. The devil comes to tempt you. You start praising God, worship God, exalt God. He's going to say, oh, I need to leave this place. I can't. He starts to provoke you, to tempt you, wanting to make you sin. And you're going to say, Lord, have mercy on me. Glory to your name. Free me now. You're powerful. The devil's going to say, ooh, I lost. Resist the devil. He will flee from you. You don't have to be afraid of it. The devil will not rule over you. Second place, you cannot be held captive. Not by the devil, not the fear of the devil, and not by sin. Do you know why? Because sin, it will present itself as something pleasurable. Sin is that, it's that candy made of honey that you start licking it and enjoying it. So good, delicious, so good. In the middle of that candy, there is death. Every sin kills something in your life. It kills your joy in God. It kills your marriage. It kills your humility. It kills your ability to forgive. It kills your faith. It kills your ministry. But at the moment, it's pleasurable. If you weren't, no one would sin. You cannot be held captive by sin. Pastor, but I can't be free from it. That's my weakness. This story of this is my weakness, that's a crutch. There's no weakness. There's a God Almighty that heals, that transforms, that can free you. And there's some people that would say, oh, look, they threw a curse on you in the cemetery. Oh, they did? Yes, they did. You have to, for 6 months, once a month, you have to go up a mountain and pray and bring an offering and light a fire. Come on. God doesn't need to break curses and steps. Come on. Our God transforms in a moment. He can do it instantly. Mentorship, discipleship, that's something that is a constant, right? It's over time. Spiritual support, that's a constant. But to be free from that, by a curse, you do it in Jesus' name. And then after that, what do? You do discipleship for the person to stay in the faith. We need to stop being so immature in our faith. We're trying, oh, I still haven't overcome because I'm not on week 6 yet. Oh, I'm going to sin because it's week 5. Maybe on week 6, I won't be able to sin anymore, so let me enjoy this week. But there's something else that it's interesting about the eagle. And this book about Hernandes, it's written by Hernandes, is very interesting. It says, the eagle is faithful. All other kinds of birds, they mix males and females. Not the eagle. The eagle, male eagle, marries the female eagle. He has a partner. That's faithfulness. How can you have hope in God if you don't know what it is, faithfulness in a marriage? One of the things that hurts children the most is their parents being unfaithful. If I tell you something, the amount of people that have cried with me by saying that, oh, my father betrayed my mother, or my mom wasn't faithful to my father. How it hurts. How it hurts in those who are betrayed, but it hurts in the children as well. And this pain is so profound that we need to know that God heals that pain. Of course He does. But we need to eliminate that from our lives. And how can we do that? Eliminate the possibility of adultery. Not adultery. Oh, no, Pedro Bó. Who remembers Pedro Bó? No one wants to remember, right? That means you're over 60. Maybe more, over 50. To know how we eliminate adultery? Eliminating the areas of risk. By going away from temptation. Just walking far away from temptation. Because those who walk close to temptation, they might slip. We have to walk away from temptation. Pastor, but you're a man of God. Yes, I'm a man of God. I'm faithful to God. So, you're above that all, right? No, I don't know if I'm above it all because I don't even walk close to it. It's not negotiable. You need to seek faithfulness, but not only in your marriage, also faithfulness to your church. I know that you understand this. And I know that God is healing that in you. Brothers and sisters, how are we going to fly higher if we're immature? If we're looking at a circumstance and say, oh, I didn't like it. Okay, now imagine if my wife, every time that I tell her that I didn't like something, we would end our marriage. I would have already been divorced like 10,000 times. But we have a covenant. There's commitment. There's maturity. There's a target. The money that I was able to put together so we have a better life when we retire, that's for me and her, and period. I'm going to buy a massage equipment so she can massage me. She's going to swing me on a hammock. This is covenant. You cannot be reliant on circumstances. God is revealing that tonight. Who's understanding that? God is treating so much tonight, isn't He? We are a team. We are a family. We can't be immature. We are a family. God has poured over His glory in this place. Oh, Pastor, but I didn't agree. You don't agree, but wait. Wait, because the trust in your leadership needs to be bigger than you being upset right now. Unless my character was in question. If it's not a problem in character, then wait. Then maybe what I'm saying to you now, it is more painful, but maybe it's the only truth that you didn't want to hear from me. In last place, the eagle, it seeks brokenness and to be renewed. The eagle, when it's getting old, its wings are old, its feathers are old. Its claws are old, its beak is old. What does it do? It flies to a cliff in the top of a mountain, and with its beak it starts to pluck out the feathers, and it hurts and it bleeds. Then it gets its beak and hits the rock, and the beak explodes and it bleeds, and it breaks that old beak. Then it hits the claws on the rocks, and it breaks its claws, and they fall off and they bleed. But after a while, do you know what happens? new feathers start growing. A new beak starts growing. New claws start growing. That time of solitude, of pain, on that cliff allows it slowly to gain back its strength. And finally, it's ready to fly high again. Finally, it's ready to fly towards its goals. Guys, if we want to hope in the Lord, it is not a passive hope. It is an active hope. Because we hope, we do. Because we hope, we move forward. Because we hope, we don't stop. Because we hope, we fly high. Because we hope, we fly above the storms. Because we hope, we have our view, our sight enhanced. Because we hope, we are aware of our potential. We have focus, we have goals. Because we hope, we are faithful, we are loyal, and we're not immature because of circumstances. Because we hope, our allegiance to our brothers, to our faith, to our church, it's unbreakable. And God sends us our victory. Fly with the eagles. You belong there. If you watch this message and you want to start a new life with Jesus, you can text us at this number and one of our team members will contact you. Also, if you're interested in joining one of our online groups, you can also text us at this number. We have English life groups, Spanish life groups, and Portuguese life groups available for you. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for more of our videos.